Hamas top brass has admitted they have no desire to govern Gaza and instead seek endless conflict with Israel. Media outlets report that top Hamas leaders have admitted that the organization seeks to engage in a permanent war with Israel to support the Palestinian cause, but has no interest in governing the Gaza Strip or improving the lives of its 2 million residents, the vast majority of whom live in extreme poverty. Khalil al-Hayya, a member of Hamas' highest leadership body, gave a series of interviews to the New York Times in which he defended the terrorist organization's surprise multi-pronged attack on Israeli civilians on October 7. This attack prompted Israel to respond militarily. A newspaper quoted him as saying, "We succeeded in putting the Palestinian issue back on the table, and now no one in the region is experiencing calm." He was speaking from Doha, Qatar. According to the report, the top brass of Hamas has shown little interest in governing Gaza or providing basic services to its people. "I hope that the state of war with Israel will become permanent on all the borders and that the Arab world will stand with us," said Taher El-Nono, a Hamas media advisor. As he put it, not to run Gaza and bring it water and electricity and such. Hamas, the Qassam and the resistance woke the world up from its deep sleep and showed that this issue must remain on the table, according to him. "We didn't go to war for food or cheap labor. It wasn't an effort to make things better in Gaza. The goal of this conflict is to completely change the status quo." The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, has responded heavily to the Hamas attack 1 month ago, with continuous airstrikes that have killed thousands in Gaza. Israeli officials have said they won't even talk about a ceasefire until Hamas releases the hostages they took. Hamas's top leaders, meanwhile, appear to be living lavishly while their people in Gaza suffer. Israeli authorities claim that Hamas's top leaders have amassed a fortune in the billions of dollars thanks to their organization's terrorist activities. When you look at the amount of money that some of these terror chiefs have been able to sock away, it's shocking, Jonathan Schanzer, senior vice president for research at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, told Fox News. Khalid Mashal, Ismail Haniyeh, and Musa Abu Marzouk, the heads of Hamas's military and political wings, are worth an estimated $4 billion, $3 billion, and $1 billion, respectively. The group itself is estimated to earn more than $1 billion a year from a global network that includes cryptocurrency, real estate, legitimate business and taxing and extorting Gaza residents. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin claimed that U.S. forces had launched a self-defense strike against an Iranian weapons depot in Syria in response to attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria. As the Israeli army advanced deeper into Hamas strongholds in northern Gaza, reportedly 50,000 Palestinians fled to the southern part of the territory. The Israeli military has claimed that it has been temporarily suspending its offensive to allow residents of northern Gaza to flee and humanitarian aid to enter the territory. The Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza, the route for humanitarian aid to enter and civilians to leave, was closed again because of a security incident, according to the U.S. Benny Gantz, a prominent member of Israel's war cabinet, has stated that the offensive to destroy Hamas, a group designated as a terrorist organization by the United States and the European Union, has no set end date. Hamas launched an attack on Israel a month ago. You can read more about the conflict between Israel and Hamas here. Everything is displayed in Israeli time. The New York Times reports that at 2 a.m., Israel and Hamas discuss hostage release for pause. According to a New York Times report from earlier in the week, Israel and Hamas have been in talks regarding the possible release of 15 hostages in exchange for a temporary halt in the Israeli military operation in the Gaza Strip. The newspaper claimed, based on anonymous sources, that CIA Director William Burns had participated in the negotiations. According to the Times, the ceasefire would last for 3 days, allowing for humanitarian aid to be delivered to the Strip during that time. Austin said in a statement released Wednesday night that the United States military had conducted a self-defense strike against an Iranian military installation in eastern Syria where the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps had been storing weapons. According to him, the two F-15's attack was a response to a series of attacks against U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria, carried out by Iranian-backed groups. Moreover, according to Austin, President Joe Biden has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. personnel, and he directed today's action to make clear that the United States will defend itself, its personnel, and its interests. U.S. drone killed in early morning attack in Yemen. Houthi militants off the coast of Yemen shot down an American MQ-9 military drone, a U.S. official confirmed Wednesday night. The official was vague about further information. Iran backs the Houthis, a clan from Yemen's northwest that rose up in 2014 to overthrow the government and spark a civil war. On October 19 and 31, they fired missiles and drones at Israel and threatened more attacks if Israeli forces didn't stop their offensive against Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip. Despite the fact that the shortest distance between Israel and Yemen is only about 1,000 miles, worries have been raised due to the Houthis' involvement that the conflict between Israel and Hamas could spread to Yemen. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights in the United Kingdom, Israel conducted airstrikes near the Syrian capital of Damascus, killing 3 Hezbollah fighters. According to the group, Israeli strikes also aimed at air defenses in southern Syria. Mossad. Brazil arrests 2 in Hezbollah plot, 10:45 p.m. Israeli intelligence agency Mossad claims that the federal police of Brazil apprehended 2 people with ties to the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah who were planning attacks on Jewish and Israeli communities in Brazil. The arrests were made as part of a multinational operation to foil a terrorist plot and obtain evidence of possible recruitment of Brazilians to carry out extremist acts in the country, according to a statement released by Brazil's federal police on Wednesday. Hezbollah was not mentioned by Brazilian authorities. At 9 p.m. on Wednesday, Israel claimed that 50,000 Gazans had fled to the south. Army spokesperson Daniel Hagari told reporters on Wednesday that about 50,000 Palestinians had fled to the south of the territory from the north, where most Hamas fighters are based and the fighting is at its fiercest. According to Hagari, Israel is pausing its attacks briefly so that residents of northern Gaza can evacuate. Another such window will open on Thursday. Earlier, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said there have been small tactical pauses, lasting an hour or so to allow aid to be brought in. Repeated U.S. closure of the Rafah border crossing, 8 p.m. The U.S. State Department said on Wednesday that the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza was closed due to a security circumstance, but did not elaborate. Aid has been arriving from Egypt and wounded Gazans and dual nationals have been able to leave the territory through the crossing, which has been open intermittently over the past few days. At 7:40 p.m., Gantz declares that the length of the offensive has no limitations. There are no limitations to the duration of Israel's military offensive in Gaza as it seeks to destroy Hamas, said Benny Gantz, a top member of the country's war cabinet and a former army chief. I can't give an estimate of how long each stage of the war will last because this is a war for our very survival and for Zionism, he told reporters. It will take time and there will be casualties, but we are doing everything we can to relocate Gazans to the south. The Houthis of Yemen claim they shot down a U.S. drone at 6:39 p.m. In a statement, the Houthis of Yemen claimed that their forces had shot down a United States drone over Yemeni territory. The Houthis, an Iranian-backed Shiite militia, have taken credit in the past for attacks on Israeli territory in support of Palestinians in Gaza. Earlier in the conflict, the United States claimed to have shot down some of the group's missiles. Attacks on Israeli infantry near Shomerah base, Hezbollah claims, 1:08 p.m. Using appropriate weapons, the militant group claimed it attacked Israeli infantry near Shomerah base, which is located close to the border with Lebanon, on its Al-Manar TV. Israeli shelling of Lebanese border villages was also reported by the state-run National News Agency of Lebanon. The G7's foreign ministers have issued a call for military pauses, 11:15 a.m. A joint statement issued by the group of 7 foreign ministers after their Tokyo meeting emphasized the importance of humanitarian pauses in Israel's war with Hamas. We support humanitarian pauses and corridors to facilitate urgently needed assistance, civilian movement, and the release of hostages, the ministers said. Humanitarian aid workers should be able to do their jobs without interference from either side. Axios cites unnamed U.S. and Israeli officials in saying that President Joe Biden has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree to a 3-day pause in fighting to allow progress in releasing some of the hostages held by Hamas.